What's up, everybody? Today we got activist and musician Kaisi Berick, also known as the Siren. He's been on Breaking the Set with Abby Martin. He's been on the Zeitgeist Z-Day. He's been at spoken about on MTV, LA Weekly. The genre of music's called Epic Step. His music project, the Siren, that's what people have described it as. But it's really just a mixture of all different types of electronic music, some classical piano, you have dubstep, you have drum and bass, you have trance, a bunch of industrial stuff and sounding stuff, and you also have some metalcore sounding stuff. So it's just a cool mixture of all this stuff. Plus he's a political artist, and it's infused with political themes and talks about social issues and all this stuff. So it's thought-provoking. There's not a whole bunch of good political artists out there. I mean, you have the Architects, Enter Shikari from the UK. You have Low Key, if you like hip-hop, and Immortal Techniques, and you have like 1 Minute Silence, and for a little older stuff, an Inner Party System, and SITD for trance electronic industrial type music. But really there's not, I mean, that's really most of them that I listen to. There's not a whole bunch out there. So it was awesome when I saw them on Breaking the Set. The performance was awesome. Definitely Google that or YouTube it if you want to see it. It was an awesome performance. And I'm gonna put a lower quality version of one of their songs, a sample of one of their songs at the end of this podcast. Obviously, if you enjoy it, then support them. Check it out. I'll put links in our show descriptions to his website and to the where you can get all his stuff and download his music and all that stuff. So definitely do that. Support artists like this. Obviously, you can support the podcast by also checking out my music. You'll also see those links on the show description. So check out the links on our YouTube channel. In all the show descriptions, I put links to the guests and their work and my work and all that stuff. So if you want a higher quality Theory 6 music, or if you want higher quality Siren music, definitely check out those links and support both of us. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the video episodes anytime somebody calls in via video like this episode. There will be a split screen, a video version of the episode on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Also, hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, hit me up, and if you have suggestions, if you have comments, if you have any ideas for upcoming guests or any questions for upcoming guests, then also hit me up, and I'd love to hear from you guys. So hit me up, and I open up this episode with asking him, Kaisi, what came first, him being activist or him being a musician? Just basically start off with that, and enjoy the show, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Believe in the ripple effect.
Well, in the very beginning, I was writing a lot about, I also started in the electronic and industrial and metal type of thing, mostly metal and industrial. And I was writing a lot about just the depression and dilapidation of my city and the people that I cared about, going through the same process. And that was, there wasn't really political in a sense, but it sparked everything that I felt about how the establishment and the system and the politicians and the police and everybody were running things into the ground in our city of Youngstown, Ohio, which was it's like a small Detroit, kind of dilapidated and things, and a lot of abandoned warehouses and factories, and just social collapse there. Poverty, crime, things like that. So I was just writing from the heart about those things, about the people of the city and myself, and those struggles we had to go through. And after trying for a long time to stack the money up to get out of the city and relocate to either New York or LA, where I had some connections and things, it was hard. It was just trying to do that, and there wasn't many jobs around there, so a lot of us got involved in a lot of drug trafficking and things like that, just to try to hurry up and get a couple bucks and get the hell out and try to start a positive life. So I lived that underbelly negative lifestyle of it for a while, trying to just get away from it. But it's like a trap. So kept me trapped in it, and I had my run-ins with the law, which only increased my disdain for that whole system. When they treat me like I was less than a dog. But so it was hand in hand the whole time, the music and the society and political aspect of things. It all rose together.
What was your influences growing up? Like the industrial music. Any specific musicians, or even any political musicians that really stuck out?
Well, I always say, producer-wise, my biggest influence was Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Just because of all the different variations of sounds and types of songs. So that's why I always like to incorporate a nice dichotomy of heavy, light, things like that in my music. Kind of like a roller coaster of emotion. Vocal-wise, I was always inspired by Maynard from Tool because of his range when he was singing. It was very unique, and he covered highs, lows, mids. So...
Yeah, the cool thing about Trent Reznor, that he made industrial music mainstream. When I know a lot of people who I can't get into industrial music, but they still love Nine Inch Nails. I'll show them something, they're like, oh, I don't like it. I'm like, but dude, you like Nine Inch Nails. It's the same genre. And they're like, yeah, but Trent just does it better. And I wonder, and he does. He was amazing. And like you said, the cool thing about him is that he did do stuff that was a little bit more radio friendly, or at least capable to be played on the radio a little bit. But he also did some stuff that went right down to the roots of industrial, with the distortions and all that stuff, and all the layering over layering, and it was just and he didn't have the typical voice either. I mean, he was I think people liked the emotion in his voice more than they liked his singing range, and so he was a huge influence on, I think, a lot of us who, and I know Gravity Kills was another band that I listened to growing up that I liked, and because I believe we're around the same age. I'm 29, and I think we're around the same age, so we probably grew up listening to some similar stuff. I remember Stabbing Westward was another one. Their early stuff was real industrial, and that was a fun time for music. Just a lot of just really cool music was getting popular, and it seems like metal is one of those things where it gets popular and then it dies down a little bit, and then you look like metalcore, another thing. Like, even though there's a lot of Christian metal bands and that got popular in that genre, and I thought it was cool that even though it was Christian metal, I thought it was cool that metal was mainstream again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you had the metal of the late 80s and things like that first, and my dad was involved with that. And he played a bunch and did some touring with that, and so there was that metal aspect, and the speed metal and Dream Theater and Rush and all that, and Dawkins, and then it dies down for a bit when the grunge scene came in, but then, like you say, it built back up. So then there was a new thing of like Pantera was coming hard, and Hatebreed and things like that, and then it died down for a bit. Then it came back, it evolved, and then it came back as the metalcore, which was more pattern based music, guitars and drums and different patterns, and a lot of that was Christian, like As I Lay Dying and things, and Christian based.
Did you hear about the recent As I Lay Dying article? I'm guessing you probably. I'm a huge As I Lay Dying fan. I remember I saw them live right when Shadows and Security came out, and they blew my fucking mind. And I'm like, these guys are amazing. But the singer, for people who don't know, the singer got arrested for attempting to hire a hitman to kill his wife. Very, very Christian of him, and
very, very Christian.
And then just recently, I guess he did an interview. I don't know which with a magazine, or if it was an online interview or whatnot, but there was an interview with him, and he was talking about how he wasn't Christian, and a lot of the band members turned more atheist, and so people after the show would like want to go hang out with them and then pray with him and like hold his hand and pray. He's like, he would just look like, I guess, sit there and he's like, it was kind of a weird situation. He would just say amen at the end because he didn't want to ruin the experience.
Yeah.
But Yeah, and I remember talking to Deception of a Ghost, the singer of Deception of a Ghost, when I went to go see him live once, and we were talking about the metal scene and how it was cool that Christian metal was making, you know, this heavy type of music, I guess mainstream, but I wonder how many of them were Christian. And I remember him saying, he's like, dude, there's a lot of bands that are saying that to sell albums, and you know, I'm a band like For Today, who's like very, you know, Christian, probably aren't faking it, but you know, I'm sure there are some that probably jumped on that bandwagon, and you see that even with electronic music. I'm sure, you know, you see like one keyboard beat or sound, I should say, gets really popular, and all of a sudden everybody does it, you know, and so it's just and I think electronic music is similar to like metal, that it's weird because it's like those two genres, like other genres will come and go, but electronic music is always like, they get same idea, will get popular, like, you know, EDM's really popular, and you know, dubstep brought electronic music back and kind of get people talking about it, and then it dies down a little. But it seems like you can't kill, like, you know, electronic music and metal, like some yeah, some version of that will stay alive. So to a really hard question, what's better, electronic music build up or metalcore breakdown?
Wait, the build-up or the breakdown? I mean, those are two completely different things.
Yeah.
You'd have to talk about either an electronic breakdown and a metal breakdown.
Yeah.
Or...
Well, I'm just saying, because those are two parts of both genres that I love. Like, I love the metalcore breakdown when you got the whole crowd bouncing, but I also love the, like, just the building up of electronic music when you know, you know, all of a sudden this energy breaks out. So I like them for different reasons, but I guess...
Well, it's hard when there's a huge build up in an electronic track, and then it doesn't deliver quite the drop that is expected.
Yeah.
Then that's really bad. You know, it's kind of like, oh, you're about to get it off, and then it just, you know, then something happens. Someone walks in or something, and so now there's also things that don't make sense, where if a song's not written properly in a metal band, and it just goes into this crazy, like, you know, metalcore breakdown out of nowhere, then it doesn't quite fit there. So if they're done properly, they're both equally as amazing to me, and they require a certain mood. So sometimes I want to be more analog, and I want to hear drums and guitars and people snapping strings and things. Sometimes I want the more clarity and I guess overall ambiance of the electronic sound, because it fills the room in a different way, the frequencies. So yeah, I mean, they're just equally as amazing. I incorporate both into all my tracks.
Yeah, that's a cool thing about doing your type of music, is that you can just go anywhere, wherever the music takes you, and you really don't have any boundaries. That's the big thing about art. You know, I'm a big believer of, you can't put boundaries, because I'm sure you know of artists just like I do that try to stick in a genre. And the problem with doing that is that sometimes a song will take you somewhere else, and you might not experiment with something, or you might not fully get the best song possible because you're trying to stick to a genre. You know, it's like, oh, I can only do screaming vocals, I can't do any harmonies, you know, or vice versa, or I can't use keyboards. You know, keyboards have gotten way more acceptable in metal music now. You know, you got bands like, you know, Bullet for Pretty Boy or Asking Alexandria when their first one came out, and everybody, you know, it blew people away. And but for a long time it wasn't like that. So it's cool to, you know, not have boundaries and kind of go wherever it takes you. And with the music, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, with the things of keyboards incorporated into metal music, I had a band in Ohio, and a couple of them, but I had a band in Ohio. We played a lot of shows and did some Slave to the Metal Fest stuff with Mistress Julia, Fuse TV, and you know, we just had a good time. And what I was doing, I was always making like electronic industrial music on the side for my solo for fun. But for the band, I would bring my keyboard and laptop, and I would play these like big string or piano intros and stuff, and then we would go into our stuff, and then you know, I would push the strings real hard during the choruses or something, and nobody was doing that at that time. And this was way back, like shit, after I got out of high school or something. So this was probably around 2002, 2003, something like that. And you know, we were doing a lot of that back then, and it was pretty unheard of. So yeah, I was always trying to mix things and be a little bit more innovative like that, instead of everything sounding the same. And then that's I started doing that with the with the electronic stuff. I started putting in the screaming and all that metal aspect into the dubstep music, which wasn't being done either at that time, some years back when I started doing that. So trying to always be innovative and think outside the norm.
Yeah, it seems like by the time something gets mainstream, they're in the underground. They're already doing it for years. You look at like Fear Factory was mixing keyboards and double bass since late '80s, early '90s. They were doing well. They were more death metal probably right in the beginning, but they really started experimenting with that stuff early in their careers too. So it's every time something gets mainstream, I just assume if I don't know the artist, then there's probably an artist out there that's been doing it way before. So it's it is interesting how that all works. And with political music, was there any political artists or bands that really influenced you, that, or even music or documentaries, anything? What would I know you said it was kind of more of a baby steps. It wasn't like just one big moment where you became like an activist. But is there any part or any time in your life that like you remember a artist or a documentary or a book or something that really like helped you open your eyes, that you really feel like was a huge impact on the way you looked at the world?
Yeah, there was a bunch of old movies from back in the day that always inspired my taste of things, like that Logan's Run movie from the 70s, I think it was, and 1984, and things like that. As far as our other artists go, I grew up on a lot of hip-hop in my environment, and that good hip-hop, though, that authentic stuff where people are just talking about everyday life of their struggle and what they're going through, and that always inspired me. So that was all very society, political, higher consciousness based. Nowadays it's not, of course, it's all commercialized and sellout, but and very materialistic. But back then, that was the most, I would say, and other things too, like Pink Floyd and John Lennon and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just a nice mix. Being that my father was a metalhead and a musician, and growing up around that and at his shows and stuff like that, and him showing me guitar stuff and things like that when I was a kid. Between that side of my life, and then the other side of my life, which was my friends and cousins and all of us hanging out in the neighborhood people and that more hip-hop based environment, I always had that blend. So that's why I just incorporate all of it into everything I do. I don't put it into a genre. It's just more like a collage. It's just kind of, it is what it is, and there's lots of different dynamics.
Yeah. Just do whatever you enjoy and hope people like it. But the most important thing is that you're confident and you love what you're putting out, and that's definitely the most important thing. And so, the fuck was I gonna ask you? What was your first instrument? You start playing keys first, or you do even with the Sirens? You do all the instruments, or you do? I mean, I know I'm guessing you do the guitar, the vocals, the keys. You do basically a little bit of everything, and then just obviously layer it. That way. Oh wait, I'll let you get your dragon.
I do. Yeah, it's my joint.
Oh, well,
California,
Yeah, well, that. Dude, I had Adam Scorgi on this show. Believe me, I am the biggest activist for legalizing marijuana, and I don't even smoke weed. I did a pot cookie for the first time a couple weeks ago, which fucked me up. I did not know what I was getting. Yeah, it's weird because everybody tells me how, like, and I hear Rogan talk about it and all this stuff, and I don't know if it was just like the wrong situation, but I didn't like it. I'm like, people actually like this feeling. I'm like, I'm not sure I enjoy the I'm not sure I'll do it again, to be honest. It was kind of I was bugging out quite a bit.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
But go back to the question you were talking about before that.
Oh, how you write your music, what instrument you played first, and then.
Oh yeah. So I guess the first instrument that I started playing was piano. So, but it was a little keyboard. There's little keyboards from the 80s or 90s. Little synth whatevers. So I, as a little kid, I would like play with my Legos or whatever, and then I'd play with the piano for a while, and back and forth and things. So that was where I started playing, and then I ended up getting a little older, and I always messed with my dad's guitars. He had like 40 guitars, and I'd mess with them sometimes, but really the first instrument I took seriously on a try to semi-professional level, I mean mentally a professional level, not actual professional level,
yeah.
but was saxophone, which I don't even like the saxophone, but I was good at it. I tried trumpet and saxophone in school a lot, and played around the country a little bit as a good saxophone player, and yeah, so that was that, and I kind of got bored with that stuff, and I was like, I want to go back to piano and guitar. So that's what I did. I swapped out the saxophone for guitar after I got tired of it, and was rocking the guitar for a lot of years, honing in on that skill, and everything from like trippy, spacey stuff to bluesy things, finger tapping and guitar soloing, playing metal music with it. But honestly, personally, the piano is my favorite instrument ever created, and I think it's the ultimate instrument because it covers all the lows, the highs, the mids, and there's just something magical about it. And that's my instrument of choice, and that's the one that I personally am the best at playing out of all the other instruments. So I start everything with my piano. I have an 88 key one that I have connected to my laptop and my music programs and things, and I start everything with that. Every single thing I do starts with that. So anything else, just add extra. But
I'm the opposite, because I started playing guitar first. So I actually, I basically I'll write the lyrics and then kind of make the write roughly on a acoustic guitar or my electric guitar. I played acoustic. I can't even talk today, acoustically, and just basically try to figure out the theme that I'm going with the song. And then keys it's something I definitely picked up later. I'm not very good at it. I'm good enough to get what I need done, but I definitely, the beautiful thing about keyboards is that anybody can play chords for the most part, and you can kind of pick up on it enough, and with the cool sounds and stuff like that, that if you have a good ear for music, and you can kind of find things that sound good and pleasant. And that's the cool thing about industrial music, that there was no boundaries. It's like it wasn't so much about trying to show off like metal was, with solos and stuff like that. It was more about the feel of the music, and
it was more creative in a sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Metal was more to just get the emotion out and be raw and powerful as possible, and the industrial stuff was to just be more abstract and avant-garde with everything, I feel.
Now, when you write, do you write the lyrics first? Do you do the music first, or how?
No, how I do it is, and before I forget, personally, the kind of music that I listen to, like on a daily, when I'm out and about or wherever, even at home and things, is classical music and Native American flute playing, or the Asian flute playing. So that's pretty much all I listen to is classical or that like tribal flute music, and that's it.
That's weird.
But yeah, so I can listen to Mozart and stuff like that all day, and I don't know. But anyways,
was it Mozart who, if he heard an out of tune piano, he would throw up? I wonder.
I don't know.
Well, one of the old
that's funny. Out of tune pianos. That's funny. I have this old upright piano on back east where I'm from, and every time I go back there and I visit, it's so out of tune, and perhaps part of the keys are broken and missing and everything, and I just love playing on it. Yeah, it's horrible, and of course I can't play to my true potential on it, but it's so just. The character and the soul of that thing is just amazing, and I've written a lot of my music that's out now sitting at that piano, that busted ass, dilapidated piano that I wish somebody would fix and put it in tune. But yeah, so much that even just now, I just got back. I was touring a bit, and then I stopped in to Ohio, and I sat down at that thing again, and I just wrote a another hit track. It's gonna be one of my singles for my next album on that damn thing.
Yeah, people download his album. I downloaded it 3 times, believe it or not, because I downloaded before it was on iTunes. I kept downloading it off your website, and which is thisisthesiren.com, I believe.
What is the Siren?
Oh, what is the Siren? I'm sorry, and I'll put links to it underneath the show description. But yeah, I downloaded. For some reason, I kept getting like some ticks or something like that in the sound, and probably to the average.
That was there was an issue iTunes when they converted all my files, my actual album.
Yeah.
I had written my album in a different frequency, a different hertz than the norm, and when they converted it over to theirs, it like added this tick or whatever. So then they had to take it down and put the right version up. And it took them time, and weeks went by, and then there were 2 albums up on iTunes. One which was the wrongly converted one with the ticks in it, and then the actual one. And yeah, it was annoying.
Yeah. I kept thinking it was the way I was downloading it or something. So what I would do, I would just download it. And I'm like, dude, is my computer fucked up? So I bought it again a second time, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I'll live with the ticks for a little bit. And for some reason I couldn't find it on iTunes. And then like a while later, I'm like, oh wait, it's on iTunes. And then I listened to it, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't sound like there's a tick. So I downloaded it again. So I actually bought it 3 times, not on purpose, but it was just I just wanted the tick-free version of it. And
of course.
But definitely check it. I'll put links to that too. It's an awesome album for anybody who likes metalcore, and especially from like, I'm from Ludlow, which is like Western Massachusetts, and where we have a lot of metalcore fans here with All That Remains. The guitarist Mike is actually from my town, and Killswitch Engage is from they record in Westfield. Adam has his record studio there, and so it just anybody who likes metalcore or electronic music, definitely check it out. Definitely check out the performance on Breaking the Set. You guys fucking blew me away. It was just like, I couldn't believe I've never heard of you guys, and I keep saying you guys when it's just you. But I
have featured vocalists. Yeah. I mean Chaz, he writes. He was in my metal band with me and stuff, and we lived together out here. And he writes acoustic things and sings kind of like very indie folk acoustic music. It's very raw. It's just acoustic and him singing. So he does that and plays out in LA once in a while doing that. But I have him on my tracks sometimes doing MC, rapping, shit like that.
He's good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's smart. He's very smart. So you just put intelligent words together and present them with energy, and it works out awesome. But so the album, my last album, is kind of, if for people that don't know, it has classical piano playing in it. It has some acoustic, just piano and singing. It has some like horror movie sounding stuff that I had scored and I put in there. It's got a little bit of metalcore in it, a lot of EDM based things, some electro, dubstep, trap step, some pop. So it's got a little bit of everything. So it's
and the cool thing, it's the beautiful thing about music, and it's funny because when I first started writing, it was more about personal issues, and then when I started doing I do a similar project like yourself. I do it's called Theory 6, and it's just some songs are metal, some songs are electronic and trance influence. And the cool thing about music is that you can get people to listen to, like similar to yourself, and what a lot of people in this electronic genre does is they sample speeches or quotes or things that might spark thought, and I do a similar thing, and it's amazing how you can get, if I say, hey, listen to Ron Paul during this speech, nobody's ever gonna fucking listen to it, but if I put it in a song, they'll be like, who the fuck is that? That's and so it's a great way of getting a message across. It's same thing like like Lee Camp with comedy. He's using his art to not just make people laugh, but also get a message across. And it's amazing how much easier it is. I mean, if we said, hey, Rick and Kaisi are going to sit around and tell you their philosophies on life and what they would change, and nobody's going to show up. But if we say, hey, we're going to go play some music and we're going to, and we're going to party, and then all of a sudden everybody shows up and they might actually get something from it. So it's awesome to see, artists like yourself who aren't just putting out awesome music, but music that is thought provoking, and you can kind of, they might not even know it, but you're molding their consciousness and their their thought. So
we're trying to plant the seeds. That's all we can do is plant the seeds.
Yeah, definitely. That's why this podcast is called The Ripple Effect. I've said this many times on the show, and I'll keep saying it. We all can make a difference, and even if it's a small ripple, we can all create this ripple effect of even if it's just sparking a conversation, and you talk with somebody about even if you talk to somebody about, hey, watch the Zeitgeist movement, watch look into this the Venus Project, look into these things, and resource based economy, and it might sound crazy to them. I've gotten a lot of people just watching, just talking to them, and then a couple months later I talked to them and they're like, oh, I actually watched that documentary you brought up. I'm like, oh, you did? So it's this idea that people have to believe that they can make a difference, and even if you don't know you are, and even if it doesn't seem like you're getting through to people, you definitely are at times, and that person will continue. So is that something?
I tell people, yeah, one by one or a million by a million.
Yeah. And so when you write music, is that something consciously you wanted to put messages in, or was that something that just came naturally?
Well, first off, the writing process, as you asked before, we just kind of go.
Yeah, exactly.
So the writing process, I start with, usually it's all in my head, like instantly, and I'll dream about this stuff all the time, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I have to record the melody or something on my phone or whatever's near me real quick, and a lot of it comes to me in dreams. It's crazy. I study a lot of astral projection and stuff like that too, though, so I don't know. But anyways, I'll have the whole vision. Every single thing is in my head, every instrument, everything, it just pops in my head at once. And then when I actually write it out, I start on my piano and just piano, and get the basic melody of it all down, and then kind of figure out the melody of the verses, the choruses, things like that. Then I put it up into my programs, my music programs, and start designing it, in a sense, designing the sounds of what how I want it to be and everything. And then pretty much the last thing I put in is the drums, and then after that's all done, then I sit and smoke a lot of weed, a really lot of weed. It really helps me focus, and it helps with the attention deficit, and it helps me get into a higher state of consciousness for my actual writing of lyrics and things like that. So that's when I write lyrics, is after it's all done and I'm just listening to it as a finished product, and I'm letting it put me in that vibe, in that mood that it creates.
Yeah, I think musicians and music fans, there's something about they just see things in a different view, a different light than I think the average person. There's obviously a lot of people that call themselves music fans, but they listen to whatever the fuck's on the radio, and to me that's not really a music fan. It's even I remember just writing, and I think the thing is that there's something about having to self-reflect when you write. It's like you're trying to capture something. With me, it would be I'm trying to put myself in, capture this feeling, and so I would continuously try to get in that state of mind, build up these feelings and it's weird because it always sounds weird to almost, you're almost trying to make yourself sad or depressed or angry or whatever to try to capture that in a bubble. But once it's out, once you do get it out in music, it's this release, and I don't know, I don't know how you are after shows, but with me it was like after a show I would just be felt like nobody could piss me off. I just got everything off my chest, and I was like,
man, I was just talking about that today because I played a show yesterday, and usually the day after a show, I absolutely do nothing with music. I don't even think about it. I pretty much just play a bunch of video games, and go off into some fantasy realm. And it's like therapy. But because I'm constantly working on music like 15 hours a day minimum every day, and take a nap for a few hours, wake up, it's the next day, just get right back to it. I never really stop. So yeah, like that's what I do. I'll just take a break for the next day, and it's because I feel so emotionally drained at that point. Like there's nothing left. All the dopamine and serotonin and everything in my body has been completely expelled during the show, that performance, because for one, there's so much energy, so much emotion involved, plus physically draining, mentally, and it's happy. It's because it feels good. It's therapy. It feels good to extract these feelings and things like that. So yeah, the next day I feel like is a day after, like when you're hungover or you've taken a bunch of drugs or something, and you have that next following day where you're just like a zombie. And that's me. I'm in zombie mode the next day, which is today. So this is me in zombie mode, I guess.
Yeah, you're pretty coherent for a zombie. I'll tell you, but me after
coherent zombie. That sounds like a band name, doesn't it?
It does actually. Somebody get that domain name immediately.
There it goes.
But yeah, dude, it's amazing. The thing I miss the most is performing, because unfortunately life has gotten in my way, and I haven't, and keeping a band together, as you played in bands, to get that many different types of people to like, oh my god, it fucking sucks. Like, somebody will miss a practice because they wanted to get a haircut, and I'm like, dude, are you even taking this shit seriously? Like, what do you mean you want, and it's just and especially like, when you're pouring so much of yourself in this music and you really are passionate about it, and then when people don't take it seriously, it kind of, it definitely, it will cause frictions, and it's hard to keep that many different attitudes, that many different personalities, and to have the same, I guess, opinion on where the music should go or where it's going. Did you have that issue, growing up and playing in?
Always.
Yeah,
always. And in my city, pretty much the only thing to do there, at least during that time, was either do drugs or sell drugs. So a lot of problems came about because people would either be too high to make it to practice or to play, or maybe I wouldn't take it seriously because I'm like, oh, hang on guys, I gotta leave practice for a minute, I have to go run and make money real quick, and not really focusing and staying focused on the music. And yeah, it was always a lot of issues like that. So yeah, it's people getting high off the band money and stuff, and just getting everybody together and on the same page is very difficult. So yeah, man, especially when you're not getting paid on a professional level for it, you know what I mean? Because then everybody else still has their lives, their girls or wives or kids or jobs and whatnot. So it's very frustrating. So coming out to LA, we were Chaz and I came out here, and we were going to bring everybody else from the band eventually when we got like a base built, just like a foundation, and money coming in and things like that from the relocation. But my electronic stuff started really taking off out here like crazy. I guess people get it out here. So yeah. Now everybody's getting it now, worldwide or whatever. But at that time, so just coming out, just us two trying to pursue the metal thing, we realized that the electronic stuff that I'm doing is now finally the sounds that I had been doing and making for so long are finally getting accepted. And there wasn't even a name for dubstep, and I was incorporating it into stuff early like 1999, 2000, and things like that into my music, and I didn't know what it was then. I just thought it was weird stuff that I was doing, and other people used to just call it angry computer music. So that's what they used to always say when I would do like a little show at a place with just electronic featured stuff, and they're angry computer music. I got that all the time. It's funny.
Sounds like RDD2 getting angry and singing in a microphone. Yeah.
Yeah.
But dubstep was it was amazing that how big it got so quickly out of nowhere. Like people just would hear it at a club and they'd be like, what the fuck is this, but the only thing about dubstep, I feel like you know, there's it got to the point, and that's the nice thing I like about you know, your album, is that you don't just do the typical dubstep. Like you mix a lot of sounds that you don't hear in other dubstep music, and you can hear some of that industrial influence, and every song is different, which I like. I mean, like 2,000 Miles, or what is it, 24,000 Miles, or whatever.
2,402 miles.
Yeah, that's what it is. That song is fucking awesome. I love the feel of the song. I love the, like, even just the snare. The snare just catches your ear, and it just every time it hits, and it's like sometimes it's those simple songs that it just happens. You just hit something right. And I remember the first time I heard that song, and I'm like, this is my fucking favorite song in this album. And I'm just like, I'm just like, if for some reason, I remember just driving, and one thing I love doing is like driving home late at night after going out, and just by myself, because you don't have any distractions. I don't have my phone going off, and I don't have, I'm not thinking about where I'm going. I'm just like cruising. I'm kind of burned out a little bit, so I'm a little tired, and my brain's not wandering too much, and I'm just feeling the music instead of really like trying to analyze it. And I remember one time doing that with that song, and it came in, and I got captured by the song, and I'm like, dude, this fucking song is awesome. And just the melody, like I said, like this, it was just it was simple, but it was genius in the same time. And
I wrote that song. Based on my my decision to leave my home life forever. It was 2,402 miles from my city where I was at to LA.
I knew it had to be something. I'm like, that seemed like a random number.
Yeah. So that was the decision to do that and make that journey, and just pursue whatever would make one happy, and not let any of the negativity or evil in the world or anything try to stop you and whatever. And because there's a lot of negative shit out there. So anything from real negative shit like dark entities of different dimensions, to, I don't know if you want to call them demons or aliens or extra dimensionals or whatever, to, evil spirits, whatever you want to call that. There's all that stands in your way sometimes. And black clouds, bad luck, call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you call it. The stuff's still there. But
it molds you.
To people too, and people, just negative people and things like that as well, in the physical form. So
yeah, but it molds you, and it makes you who you are. I know I hear a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts with comedians, and they always say, comedians they're just something, like they understand each other, and they're all a little crazy. And I'm like, and every time I hear them say that, how they're all a little crazy, but they kind of understand each other, I'm always like, musicians are the same way. Like, it's most really good musicians, and I don't think that it has to be this way, but I just think it happens to be this way because of the fact that when you have all these influences, all these walls you have to break down, and all these struggles in life, like, it's going to influence good music. I mean, I just heard recently, one of my buddies, he has this really rare disease where he's basically just really quickly going to lose his vision and be completely blind. And he told me this, and I could already tell he was going blind and wasn't making eye contact, and was kind of staring out in nowhere. And it hit me really hard. The first thing I wanted to do was write, and then it hit me, like these are it's when you go through stuff, it almost molds, it forces you to have to be a musician, because it's just or to write, because you're inspired and you want to put this down on paper. And writing it, period, is therapy. Performing it's also therapy, but writing it, I feel better when I get it out, and trying to tap into that. And I think that's why musicians are so well spoken, and they have a better understanding of their feelings, and kind of I feel like we do a lot of self-reflecting when we write. It's like you're forced to have to look in the mirror. Do you get that?
Yeah, it's a look into the subconscious, and it's you're analyzing what's resonating right now in this existence, and subconsciously you're channeling from past lives and future and different dimensional planes of other alternate realities of what's happening to you. There's so much going on when you get into that trance of writing. I actually started, before I started playing like in bands and things like that, I started as a poet, as a writer. So
I did too.
I was always so I was always inspired by that. I had like nine books that I that I wrote while I was in school, and they were each called a life. So it was like 9 lives, you know. But each one of them, and yeah, that was my first kind of like those were my albums at that time, you know.
Yeah.
And certain select people in my life, I can probably put on 2 hands. We're only got recipients of reading those, but yeah. So it started with the writing for sure.
Yeah, did you have a? I had an issue with trying to, like, I remember when I first started writing, and I would turn my poetry into songs, and I remember I was really afraid of, like, I wanted to put out the most honest music possible, but I was kind of afraid of the fact that I'm opening up myself to the world. So if one day I perform this, which eventually, you know, at that time I did, and when I'm like, I'm going to perform this song live, but I'm writing this song in a very personal spot when I'm locked in my room with some really moody music in the background to just kind of set the mood and try to capture a certain emotion. And then I was kind of afraid of, like, now I'm going to share these really personal thoughts with a lot of other people, and then there was always this battle of, like, well, I don't want that to stop me from writing the most personal music, but yet, you know, I was a little afraid of exposing that side of me, you know, so did you ever have those issues, those personal battles like that?
No, I never had the fear of exposing anything, because I was always very proud of what I did write or whatever. I always felt proud of it, because it was finally something that I had and that I created, like a child or something. It was just like, it just made me feel so happy that I was able to successfully translate my inner dialogue and emotion into something that's readable and legible for others to take in. So I always just was proud of it, and it was kind of like the thing that I just really enjoyed. So I wanted to show it to people and things like that, but I usually never would, but I always wanted to, and I always wanted to show it to more and more and more. And same with the music. I play free shows all the time for activist events and things like that, because I don't care about money and getting paid or whatever. If it's for a good cause, I'm there, man. Like, count me in. Let's do it. Let's enlighten some people. Let's do positive stuff, and yeah. So I just want to get it out to people. So that's it. So if I had to choose between having $10 million right now, and my song only going out to one person ever in history, or 10 million people and no money, I would take the 10 million people and no money, like, for sure. So.
Yeah, and I think you being a Zeitgeist fan just like myself, I think what people don't realize is that money isn't a motivator of great minds. I mean, you're motivated by your work. You're motivated by trying to your work, basically. So I think we like to believe that money motivates, and without money there wouldn't be as much innovation. But you look at people like Nikola Tesla, and he wasn't motivated by money. He was motivated by trying to make the world a better place. Unfortunately, people who were motivated by money kind of fucked up that plan, and who knows, if that where his technology is. If I obviously, when he died, for people who don't know, when he passed away in a lonely hotel in New York, Edgar Hoover went in there and stole all his files, and who knows what was there or what the potential was. But he was trying to give out free energy. He had that device where it would, you basically use the ground as a conductor and then give people free energy, but you couldn't meter it. So there you go. So
JP Morgan was his financier, and he shut him down and burned everything to the ground.
Yeah, capitalism is a fucking. I mean, it's
a cancer.
It is a cancer. I mean, I think when money trumps morals, it fucks up everything. I mean, it just to think that that's the most important thing in our society. It was this philosopher Michael Sandel once said we went from a capitalist economy to a capitalist society, where basically capitalism is basically influences everything, instead of just being a way for us not to kill each other to eat, and it's just a way to, I guess, direct our money and business. And when everything's for sale, it's a dangerous game to play, especially with we're on this fucking floating spaceship we call Earth, and it's we only have so much space to migrate to, and whatever, and we're ruining soil, we're ruining our water source, we're ruining, our environment with fracking, which is linked to earthquakes and all our, CO2s in the air and all this stuff. And it just to think that it's not going to kick us in the ass is crazy to me. I mean, I don't want to focus on climate change deniers, but I think at the end of the day, any logical person would think that burning all this stuff and all these things we're doing, putting these chemicals in the earth, would absolutely have some effect. And I mean, who knows what type of effect, but that can be debated. But to say, for people who say it has no effect, it is crazy. And if you care about your kids or grandkids and the future of this earth we live on, then we have to look at the big picture. But unfortunately, capitalism only looks at the short-term picture. It's about quarterly gains, So
I think capitalism, in a sense, is even increasing the rate of cancer because of all of the environmental pollution that they're doing, because of all the unhealthy things they put in all of their products to save money. Because of all of these, you create the perfect storm of catastrophe and just horrible. It's crazy, man. Like you said, everything is polluted now. So, and if this earth is a living being, then it's going to have its own defense or its own mechanism to deal with this, and it might be backlashing through a climate change. It might be like a human gets a temperature when they're sick. It could be other astral bodies that are in our solar system that are heating up our planet, and other ones and things that are passing through or that we might not know about or might be secret. There's so many different things. There could be a pole shift happening. I know some scientists in the UK have been monitoring the migration of the North Pole for a while. They've been triangulating it and saying it's moving about 0.8 of a mile a day towards the coast of Siberia, Russia. So these could be causing climate problems. So all of this stuff as a whole, everything I just said as a whole, even if only half of them are actually accurate, but they all contribute to it. Man-made things can't be good. All that carbon, all that stuff, it can't be good. So that might have some influence on it. All the other things I said might have some influence on it. So, it's all we do know is that things are definitely changing, and that's undeniable. There's so many millions and millions of sea life washing up on shores, and birds all falling out of the skies, and just a lot of strange things. So.
Yeah. And just that story I was telling you about my buddy who's going to be legally blind. We were talking about it, how there's no cure for I wish I knew the name of what he had, but there's no cure, there's no medical procedure, there's no surgery, there's nothing that can help. And we're talking, I'm like, but isn't it funny how innovation for cell phones and other types of technology that makes money, innovation moves very fast, but when it comes down to medicine, when it comes down to something like what he has, because there's no money in that, there's obviously innovation, the innovation goes much slower, and that's a huge issue. When we start looking at medicine and people's health as a business, I think that's a huge fucking issue, because at the end of the day, we're all people, we all live on this earth together. And I know we use these political names like Democrat and liberal and conservative to separate us, but at the end of the day, when you see somebody who needs help, when I see somebody who gets hit by a car, for example, I don't care if they're a conservative or liberal, whatever the fuck their ideology is. I want to go, my first instinct is to go there and help, and I think that they do a great job of putting us against each other. But at the end of the day, I think I've heard you in a past interview talk about how, we're all one. And I think that's kind of the way we have to look at things.
Exactly. Look at the pharmaceutical companies and medicine, like you're talking about. These things, they have progressed, but they're not being distributed to us. Like, you can look up patents for cancers and AIDS and all these things that have already been created, and because we have access to so much information now, we can dig into these things and find them. most people don't care, though. They don't care to really look into it or to even acknowledge it, and that's really messed up. It's like, oh my God, here's the cure for all these things, and all right, like, we win, yay for humanity, right? Like, okay, let's get this out to everybody. But no, it's not even like that, and people are okay with it not being like that. They're like, no, let's keep it locked up, whatever. Like, let's just go keep paying for all these radiation treatments and all this sessions and all this stuff and all these hundreds and hundreds of thousands of bills we're racking up that insurance pays for anyways because they're sleeping with the medicinal and pharmaceutical companies. And I mean, it's ridiculous. One of my best friends has cancer, and he's 24, 25 years old, and we actually had a marijuana collective and growery together, and he was the grower, and I just managed the place and ran it, and it was awesome. So we helped a lot of people with it. It was an alternative, holistic way that's ancient and goes back forever, way before all this man-made stuff was made. And we really helped a lot of people with a lot of different ailments and cancers and things like that. And to this day, even though the man shut us down, we're still out there helping people with this stuff, with this new technology that's being when you can use technology with ancient practice, like taking marijuana plants and breaking it down on a molecular level, where you have the THCs and the CBNs and the CBDs and things like that, the cannabinoids that are inside of it. When you break that down and you take out the ones that actually heal people and get rid of the ones that get people inebriated, THC is the psychoactive effect. So you get rid of that. You extract only the CBD from it, and that is the therapeutic. That's the thing that's anti-pain, anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, central nervous system relaxant. I mean, it's helping so many people like crazy, and it's gonna, if it's allowed to continue, it's gonna help. It's just gonna help so many people, and I feel like the pharmaceutical age will die, within the next 100 years. So it was a temporary thing that came about with this capitalist society and this oligarchy that we live in, and it's just a way to monetize, and exploit the sick. Just like they monetize and exploit the poor in other countries, and by digging for their diamonds and paying them nothing and making slaves out of people, and it goes on everywhere. So these things, as we enter the photon belt into this new age of enlightenment, the magnetics in the air of everything around us, of where we're at in the solar system, are all different, and it's the golden age. If you follow any of that, astronomy, precession of the equinox and all that. So there's a lot of things happening right now, and there's a lot of mass awakening and enlightenment, where we're realizing we're all one, and it's not anybody's different country or different nations or anybody. It's nothing like that. No, the political beliefs, religious beliefs, none of it matters. It's all man-made stuff. It has no bearing on our whole global consciousness as a whole. So people are starting to realize that, and that goes back also what you said about the Christian bands, the Christian metal bands. A lot of them started out like that, and they also evolved and grew as people, just like we all have done. And now they're not so. Now they're more, like you said, atheist, or they don't believe in Jesus or Muhammad. They just believe in a greater enlightenment, a greater global consciousness, and the universal energy of one. And that can help. So that can help start to destroy these political entities and corporations that don't think like that, because they're old-minded. They have an old, they're in a different age with their mind frame, and now we enter a new age. So hopefully it keeps moving forward, and I see a lot of positive things happening now. There's a lot of revolutions happening around the world, millions at a time, and people don't really even notice this. They don't know, but it's happening nonstop for the past handful of years. Millions and millions have been uprising against their tyrannical systems that are put in place, and it's beautiful. It really is beautiful, and it can really this can happen and change everything in the world, to where we're not exploiting people anymore, and we're building more free energy based. So these technologies exist, and they're out there right now. And I even went to school for a little bit with electronic engineering and studied a lot of energy engineering, and they're absolutely available. And I'm actually trying to build a magnetic energy amp myself just to prove it. But with no funding, grassroots style, it's a very slow process. But as more funding comes in through the music industry and things like that, I can continue to get pieces and things that I need, and I will take it to the news and unveil it piece by piece, step by step, how you do this and how you can power your room or your house with this stuff. And I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna finish this. And RT News already said I can, when I get a small mini prototype of it done, I can take it on there. So I'm trying to really just utilize the music industry to put out positive messages in music, instead of just hollow, shallow, materialistic messages, and get back to true poetry. And in the process, I can hopefully make enough money with it to help uplift other parts of the world and people in general with this. And I've been trying to put together this tour to go around the world and deliver Life Straw water filters. I talked to the company already. We worked out a thing, and they're gonna donate a lot to the cause, and it could be really awesome. So I want to travel about the whole world and all the conflict areas and just give out as many of these things as I can and put on a show for them in their villages and these people and everything. And I'm going to bring my flute and my djembes and with my crew, and we're going to get old school on them, and then we're going to also bring the new school sound to these places just for the hell of it, and try to just hook them up with mad water filters, because when so many people don't have access to water, that's messed up. And when you got other companies selling the water that's in the earth back to us, which is draining all the aquifers everywhere, so it's just so twisted. So if I can bring about a new way to do world touring with music, where you go around helping the world as you're touring, I think that could be something special that can catch on, and a lot of people start doing that. So I'm trying to do that now.
That's fucking awesome, man. Yeah, that's an awesome idea, man. I mean, the idea of touring, but yet basically being like helping people at the same time, like a Red Cross type of idea / touring. I mean, it's pretty I mean, it's a great idea. I mean, you're gonna get people that are music fans and activists together, and all for a common cause. And so that's, and sorry to hear about your friend who has cancer. I had Dr. Brzezinski on my show, who I'm a big fan of, and I've got a lot of emails and stuff about having him on. Once I announced he was on, a lot of people who are trying to suppress the fact that he has a method of helping people that's been basically sued by the FDA for numerous years, and if it wasn't for kind people who are donating their time and money to protest and help him basically pay these fines and court fees, then he'd be shit out of luck. So I'm a big believer of natural remedies. I think that I'm also a big fan of Dr. Max Gerson and his this whole idea of natural remedies, and I have a buddy who owns a supplement store, and I always tell people, I'm like, listen, if synthetic drugs should be your last resort, because they're not there to get to the root of any issue. They're just trying to keep you on it as long as possible. And then you have these other side effects, which are even worse. I just had Mike Adams on from Natural News, and I actually haven't put up the podcast yet, but we talked a lot about these issues, and it sucks, because we said, we talked about it, once money becomes more important, and then where's the incentive in giving somebody a cure when a lot of these companies are public companies, and it's about keeping your stockholders happy, and it's about quarterly gains, and it's not about if they can give you a pill that they can make a quick profit, and by the time they find out it's you see a lot of drugs that go on the market, and then soon after they take them off the market, and a lot of it's because it was FDA approved, and then it's off the market because it's not healthy. So what the fuck's going on?
Right.
Yeah. But
and then you have a lot of the people that are part of these pharmaceutical companies and part of the GMO companies like Monsanto and things. You have a lot of these people, the CEOs and the people that run it, that also are on like the boards of the FDAs and things like that, and it's so intertwined politically. It's disgusting. It's all infiltrated. It's crazy.
Yeah, people,
it's so crazy.
People would be very surprised to see companies that people who worked for oil companies who now work for the EPA, or people who worked for Pfizer who now works for the FDA, and vice versa. I think these aren't conspiracy theories. That's the thing about Alex Jones. It's cool that you sample him in one of your songs, and I think it's one of those things where he comes off very aggressive and very passionate. And is he a little crazy? Probably, but at the end of the day, we can't ignore the fact that he's exposed a lot of people, including myself. I mean, 9/11 and the Road to Tyranny was one of the first films that really, I'm like, holy fuck, man. Like, I felt like somebody just told me I live in the Matrix. Like, it was just like, it changed like my whole outlook. That and Loose Change was another one, 9/11 Loose Change. And those films, I mean, so it's like you can't take away the fact that he's, a lot of people like, yourself and me, like, we've been influenced by the fact that he was saying shit when everybody else was afraid to say it. I mean, he was saying that 9/11 didn't make sense when nobody would even come close to stepping on that line, and the Oklahoma City bombing. I mean, he was at Waco back in the day, and so it's one of those things where just like, regardless what people's complaints are about him, you can't take away the fact that he's probably influenced a lot of people that are doing a lot of good and was a big part of awakening, for lack of a better term, to a lot of people, including myself. So I mean, my hats go off to him for what he does, and it's probably not easy to be very passionate like that, and for people to call you, to say that you're conspiracy theorists, which I hate that fucking term, because history's full of conspiracies. I mean, there's real life conspiracies, and so it just, you look at it, you look at from everything from Nazi Germany to there's conspiracies in our history books. So it's just to try to shrug things off as just conspiracy theories, it's crazy. And so I love the work that he does. I think that a lot of people are probably a fan of him, even though some people are straying away from being a fan of him. But that's like the same thing with what's his name? I'm having a brain fart. The reptilian guy.
David Icke.
David Icke, yeah. Another thing, he gets kind of put in this box of like the reptilian guy, which I kind of just did myself, but which I didn't mean to. I think that he makes a lot of sense. If people actually listen to him talking, his lectures, his speeches, if they read his work, he actually says a lot of things that make a lot of sense. Unfortunately, the reptilian thing, kind of, I guess, scares people off a little bit, but a lot of these people are putting a lot of important work and putting a lot of important messages out. And
you're right. And isn't it funny how the average masses, the people, they will shun the notion of interdimensional creatures like a reptilian or interdimensional alien species and things like that, but yet they're okay with ghosts. Or if they're not okay with ghosts, then they're okay with like Jesus Christ and angels and devils and stuff. So it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, but you're right. So you believe in something that's what's the term I'm looking for? It's something unnatural, something beyond us, and so you believe in that when it comes down to things that you believe in, and then you're basically saying that, okay, no, that's crazy. But that's a crazy thing about people. It's like, and I'm sure you've met people like this, and it drives me crazy, where like they'll be so logical and so open-minded with certain issues, but then when they're really passionate about something, they go into this box where they're just, they become very stubborn, and it's like religious people. I mean, I have friends that are very Catholic and very Christian. I even have some born-again Christian friends, and they want to say that God helped them through their drug abuse or whatever. I think they're giving credit to a thing that doesn't exist. I think they should get the credit for getting through that. But if that helps them, then I don't see anything wrong with it. That's great. But it's amazing how you'll talk to them about something, and like you said, they'll be like, oh, that's crazy. I'm like, you believe in a guy who fucking built a boat and put 2 of every animal in the, on Earth on this boat, like, and then convince them to have sex. Like, so, like, wait. So that doesn't seem a little fucking crazy? I mean, you're talking about stories that weren't written down for a way after these things happen, and you're just going to take somebody's word for it that they're even telling the fucking truth. So it's just like, and then, I mean, and that's just one of the many holes.
Yeah. I try to follow a lot of science with everything. So even, you know, I tell you, let me see here. I get my whole arm has all these dates tattooed all over it. And those are all dates from times that I had seen UFOs in the sky. And my music partner, Chaz, was with me for most of those. You know, we have infrared night vision here. We have telescopes. Actually, you can see my telescope over there in the back. Yeah. You know, astronomy binoculars and all kinds of things. So we really take it seriously to monitor and analyze the skies, as a lot of the greatest people ever in the world in history have analyzed the stars and the skies and things, and you can learn a lot from it. You know, just from analyzing the stars, you can learn that we're not here alone. You know, when you start to see things flying around and doing maneuvers or whatever, and then disappearing, shooting far away from the Earth until you can't see it anymore. You know, well, that's somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think our government is at that kind of technological state yet, though they might be. It's somebody, and yeah, it's pretty wild. So to me, that is science, and that's a scientific evidence of things. You know, just when you take in physics and all that, and trajectory and everything, there's a lot of science behind it. So it's something that can be tangible. So actually, in actuality, the thing about the different alien races and the reptilians and all that stuff is more scientifically sound than the things of Jesus and angels and devils. And on another level, they could have all been the same thing. You know, they could have all been the same thing, and they're just interpreted as different words. Angels could have actually been Palladians from another star system, or, you know, demons could have actually been reptilians. So yeah, it's all subject to interpretation at this point, but all I know is I have seen my own evidence for higher intelligent creatures and things, and I have seen my own evidence of either ghosts or alternate dimensional beings, whatever you might want to call them, that are going in and out of dimensions or shadows, or materializing and dematerializing, whatever it may be. A couple of us used to actually do that all the time, try to go into really messed up haunted places supposedly and experience things, and just try to figure it all out. So I don't know, I've had my own scientific occurrences, so I don't know if many Catholics can say that they've had scientific occurrences with their things, but you know, it could all be the same thing. It can all just be different stories interpreted differently, talking about the same shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you look at it like, if you look at, like, you know, a long time ago, they thought that if you had Tourette's, you had a demon in you. They thought that the world was flat, you know. So, like, you know, they said God bless you because they thought an evil spirit would go in you, you know. So you look at how little they understood of the world, okay? And this is, I've been thinking about this lately, and so I'm thinking, like, you know, 1,000 years from now, or even 100 years from now, who knows if, like, we're gonna figure out so much of the world that we thought we understood that we really don't understand. We're gonna be like, holy shit, those guys in 2014, they were dumbasses. They thought this was real, or this wasn't real, or they thought, you know, gravity existed, or who fucking knows?
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, who knows, like 100 years or 1,000 years from now, how much more we'll understand, and we might look back at our generation and be like, those were dumbasses. They were fucking cavemen. They didn't understand anything, you know. So, I mean, the same way that we truly believe that, you know, gravity exists and the Earth is round, they truly believe that the Earth was flat, you know, and they had logical explanations to their understanding of how the world worked. So who knows how far we are from actually completely, or even coming close to really understanding things.
Yeah, our next step of evolution, our next step can only start once the two things become the main priority in the world, and that is transparency and science, and that's it. When you have the world united for science and they're being transparent about it, meaning that they're giving the public all access to the types of energies they've developed, the free energies, they're incorporating tidal energy in place. Just putting tidal energy all down the east coast of America can create enough power to power everything up until about the Mississippi. So, I mean, that right there is half in the majority of the population of the United States living free, never having to pay any bills for electricity or heat or anything ever again, nobody being cold or anything. So that's just one form. Geothermal also, volcanoes are proof right there of the heat and the energy that's in the earth. So all these things, magnetic, solar and wind is like, that's the basic forms of free energy. That's the very basic. That's what the establishment has allowed to be out commercialized and publicized.
Have you ever heard of the perpetual motion machine? Like people trying to come up with a machine that basically never stops. And
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's anything? Do you think that's possible?
This can be obtained with magnetic energy.
Oh, really? Yeah. So you've looked into it and you think it's possible?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
For sure.
And that'd definitely be something they would want to suppress. I mean, why would they want people to figure out how to make a machine that needs nothing to run and would run forever? It would be in motion without ever stopping. I mean, if that technology was out there, like you've said, with other things like medicines and stuff like that, of course they're going to suppress that. So who knows?
Yeah, that's the whole basis of magnetic energy engineering, is the fact that if it's done right and the magnetics and everything's placed properly, start it, and then it should never ever stop. So, and then you can tap. You have to build it in a way though to tap into to use the Earth's natural magnetic field, in that torus energy field with it, and the Fibonacci sequence has a lot to do with it as well. So yeah, it's absolutely possible, and there have already been people that have created these things. Some of them have been suicided. Some of them have taken payoffs and live rich now and sold their ideas to people that they thought were going to put them out into the real world, but then they never did. They'd lock them up or suppress them because they were, secretive, about who they really were, and oh, we're going to buy this off of you. We'll give you $10 million, and we're going to unveil this to the world. You're really doing something for humanity, yay! But really, they're just some CIA op that got wind of this guy that invented something, and so they go buy it off of him real quick and then lock it up. So these things they're out there, and I want to bring them to the light.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and I know we've been talking a little longer than I initially told you, so I don't want to keep you up any longer. I'm sure you're a busy man. I'm going to cut into those 15 hours of music you do, but I just really want to thank you for being with me. It was an awesome conversation. I really enjoy talking to other musicians, and just like I said about comedians saying they all kind of connect in a certain way or similar. I think a lot of us are similar. I think that. I dealt with depression growing up, and you talk to a lot of musicians, and it's like you talk about some of your personal battles growing up, and it seems like a lot of us are went through similar things, and it's cool to connect with people like that. I think it reminds people that, hey, whatever you're going through, there's also other people who've been through it, and you're not alone, and I think that's important. I think that's also what we like about music too. Depressing music, I think it's one of those things where you listen to a depressing song and it reminds you that maybe that this person went through the same shit I'm going through, and I think that's refreshing. So, but I thank you so much for your time. It was, like I said, an awesome conversation, awesome to talk about music and everything else, and so I just thank you so much, Kaisi, for being with me.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was awesome. Good times.
Yeah, good times, man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hopefully, like you said, you just play some video games and recover today, and then you got some more plans for the weekend.
Yeah, normally that's what I would do, but I already have important things scheduled for today musically that I have to acknowledge. So
Yeah.
you know, hey, I just wanted to slack around and play some video games and space out, but I just can't now. So.
Yeah, we raised provoked thought, so now you're gonna use some of it. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, hey, you know what? If you got the energy, and you know, there's definitely times to be lazy, and it's fun to sit around and, like you said, just kind of be a therapy day of just relaxing and getting your mind off music and everything else. And then there's times where it's like, if the juices are flowing, take advantage of it.
Yeah, well, the juices are definitely not flowing, but it's prior engagements,
yeah.
you know, in the music stuff that I have to do. Like, I have to work on some other people's tracks and things, and you know, there's deadlines on things. So
yeah. Well, can tell people where they can find your work. I know we talked briefly about it. It's on iTunes, and you also have a website.
Oh yeah, so you know, if people wanted to, they can go on the internet browser like Google, and they can type in MTV Buzzworthy Vita Chambers, and she sang on a track of mine I released in 2012, 2013, like right on the cusp, and that was the one that was on MTV Buzzworthy Top 5, and it's still there. You can stream it there, but you could just go to my website, whatistissiren.com, and watch the music video and everything. So yeah, there's that, and Twitter is at the Siren Science, and I post everything, you know, on there as well. So the website is the best. So it has all the music videos that I've directed and edited and music produced, and it has a nice little section of interesting documentaries that help let people think outside the box. There's some alternative media on there streaming. You know, there's all kinds of cool monitors, like earthquake monitors around the world, and UFO sightings, and a lot of good stuff. So a lot of different unique things on the site, and all the music, and yeah, so that'd be the best place to go.
Yeah, definitely check it out, and like we talked about before, definitely share stuff. I mean, share documentaries, share articles. Talk about it. I mean, the idea of, you know, I know some people, you know, that they're still stuck in the mindset that you don't talk about politics, but I think we need to spark conversation regardless, you know, where people's opinions are. I think it's important to, you know, to have a friendly, even if it's a friendly debate about certain things, and just, you know, maybe expose people to some new information they don't know about. So I think
exactly.
We can all do our part, and I think we are. I know every generation, if we talk to our parents, they'd be saying that they were growing up in some crazy times, but I truly believe that our generation is growing up in some crazy times, like more than ever. You know, so I think that how easily people can get access to information is going to change the world quickly. I think that even just whoever runs for president again, I mean, you look at that, like how much can they bullshit people? We can just Google search somebody and then find out their history, find out, you know. So I just think it's really going to change people from you know, politicians and corporations, and people aren't going to be able to lie to people and give them false information when you can do your own research. So I think that's really important. And like I said, hopefully we all do our part to, you know, just like I said, even if it's just, you know, sparking a conversation, I think that's important. So
yeah, I agree. Oh, and my last album, as he said, is on iTunes. It's called Rise as Wolves. So just type that in iTunes, it'll come up. The new album is almost done. And well, I actually have like 3 albums that are done, but I'm trying to compartmentalize them into one album.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the last one was very, very aggressively politically based. This next album is more oneness, interdimensional based, and, you know, things like that. A lot of talks of alternate dimensions and astral projection and things like that. So yeah, that'll be out. That'll be out soon enough. Probably, I don't know, maybe later this year I'll release that. I have to release the singles first and all that, and there's like a whole process to it. So, but yeah. So I guess that's that for that.
Yeah, I'll put links to the website and a bunch of other stuff underneath the video description. Also, you know, Kaisi said it was cool, so I'm gonna do a little sample of of one of the Siren songs on at the end of this podcast, just to get a idea of their music. And if you like it, like I said, support it. And if you get a song and you're supporting an artist that obviously is looking to do big things and looking to put his efforts and time into making the world a better place. And I think that's something we can all back, and I think that's important. And I think I think unfortunately a lot of us, even myself, get stuck in this grind of you live this life of just creating this debt and then just trying to work your way out of it and then create more debt, and you get and then we become zombies, just kind of working a job we hate and just to buy shit we don't need, and then that's it. And then so I think it's when there are people out there who are doing great things and doing important things, I think it's awesome to support them and support their work, and I'm sure it motivates you when you see people who support your work, and I think it's important. So definitely do that. And like I said, thanks again, Kaisi. Have a great Friday.
And thank you. And I want to give a shout out to Panda, People Against the NDAA. I just got off tour with them, spreading good words and playing music. And give a shout out to Free and Equal Elections. I played their United We Stand Fest, and they're trying to help get people not thinking about red or blue, Democrat, Republican, and just think about what's best overall. And in Zeitgeist, part of the Zeitgeist Fest, and looking forward to more of all these fests and things, and being a part of them. And man, like, you guys rock, and you rock with your podcast, and let's keep doing it. Everybody can contribute little by little.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, support all these projects, and little by little, like you said, we're all gonna make a difference. And I think that as much as people want to deny it, a lot of people are just like, people are dumb, they don't care. There's a lot of people who are dumb and don't care, but there's also a lot of people waking up every day, and little by little, that awakening of becoming more aware of how things really work and how things really are is gonna eventually become more noticeable, and I think it's gonna become more obvious. So I'm just glad to be a part of it. I'm glad to support people like you, and do like you said, I'm doing my little part too, and hopefully we can all be a part of this crazy time.
I concur.
Yeah, thanks, Kaisi. Hey, have a good one. We'll keep in touch.
You too.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Guns to the sky, retaliate till I die, and rocket flowing through my blood from the media's lies. Disconnected from society, there is no dividing me. I'm dying from the pain while the system is trying me. Dirty politician criminals, they taking the cake. The globalist is in my scope, so now I'm raising the stakes. How much your legacy is worth when you line and chalk. I'm a protesting, with my sign it's a Glock. Oh, that's me again. Associate me with sin, associate me as a threat. You don't know where I've been. I'm as strong as can be, cause I was forged on the block. Especially mentally, my truth is solid as rock. And we predicted it all, we predicted the fall. And when the systems collapse, the corporations will crawl. You better lay your demise, wipe the blood from your eyes. Open yourself to the truth, the government to the lies. Siren resistance will make it all be understood. These sheeple everywhere, we turn them into wolves. In this game of chess I am a knight, you're just a pawn. I'm like an innovator, James Cameron. My verses flow like you're swimming in the Amazon. You criminals like the employees of Amazon, taking money, stealing lives like they John Gotti. You crooked bankers on the virus, killing everybody. Now step back, rising up, see that true agenda. 21, here it comes, poverty will get ya.